Hello there and good afternoon. My name is David and welcome to this afternoon's 20-minute Nautilus demo. So in this short session, what I'm going to do is show you how you can capture and evaluate all of the great teaching and learning taking place in your school with an iPad or tablet. So I was a former head teacher for 12 years, local authority advisor, and also now EdTech developer. After years of headship and time-consuming standalone monitoring and observations, sort of decided that there had to be a better way. So today I'm going to present a solution that we created that we're helping schools with right across the UK and also in other places, Dubai, Kenya, China, Spain, and so on. Looks like it's a good time in the day when the corridors fall silent, just to take a little look at how we can capture and evaluate how we do our monitoring, our book studies, our observations, call them what you like. So we created a platform called Nautilus and it's web-based. And as we log into here, what I can see in my school is I can see all of the analysis and the walks that we've been participating in. So all of my team up here so far this year, we can see each individual walk. We can see the outcomes and some strategic analysis. We can see the average in school, and we can also use AI to leverage that. So we can click on the AI and learn more. I'm going to come back to this page because I want to show you the process. But the point I want to make really just to begin with is that everything is heading into one place. So once we add filters for year groups and subjects and send and so on, we can get an awful lot of insight. And that's one of the biggest problems in schools, that we have a server scattered with standalone observations and activities. So here we're building this picture together and all of our leaders are contributing to it. We can also see here, if we just click across the gallery, we're going to come back and take a look at this. But this just helps us to be able to spotlight the best practice and to be able to showcase some of the learning that's taking place. So curriculum impact, whether or not it's subject, key stage, send, whatever it may be, in here we can pull up samples and we can share and use those to set the expectations in school. Okay, so if we're thinking now about how we do this and how we get into the classrooms, that bit is really simple. So I'm just going to show you how you can pick up your device, head into the classroom and do a quick learning snapshot. So as I log in on my iPad or tablet, it runs through your browser. So it's not an app, you don't need to install it. I can head to the walks and down here in my to-do list, I've assigned myself 2 classroom visits. We can just click and go into a classroom if we want to do and select the click and go. But down here, I've prepared one beforehand. We're also going to take a little look at a book study as well. So we could take a little look at arguably the leadership toolkit with the lesson visit and the book or work study. So as we head into the classroom, now it's really important that this bit is super simple because this is the front end. The big data set and everything we're going to capture in the background is going to help us to leverage and make sure that we get impact from the process. But the process itself, we want to be really simple. So here you can see with our suite of frameworks on the system, there's 10 of them. This is our learning snapshot, and this is perfect for a 10-minute visit. So on this occasion, I'm going to pop into the classroom and we're going to use a rubric to provide feedback. Now, rubrics can be used for different purposes, but on this occasion, what we want to do is we want to promote feedback, recognition, and recommendation. So you'll see we're using some default terms on the system, which you can edit and change, and you can edit and create your own content anyway. But the terms we're going to use are prioritize, develop, effective, and highly effective. And what that means is essentially for the leader in the classroom, we're going to be able to prompt. We're going to be prompted to do one of 2 things. We're either going to be giving a suggestion, an idea, some support, a recommendation with develop and prioritize, or with effective and highly effective, some recognition, help to validate the hard work of the teachers, a compliment, a commendation. So that's a great opportunity as well. And it's really important that we can provide that feedback the same day. I'm going to show you how we do that. So as I walk into the classroom, see that the children are engaged. My next question is, how is the teacher doing this? So in here, I'm going to put a few thoughts down and I'm going to use my voice type to do that. This helps me to get straight onto the feedback nice and quickly. I really like the relationships that you have with the children. Why not put an activity on the board to settle the children down after playtime? Question mark. So that means I could just sort of input my thoughts straight away. The beauty of that is that we're going to get straight onto the feedback, which is where we're going to get the most impact. And it's really important that we can do that nice and quickly. We use Gemini, we use Siri, and so on. So there's a little button next to your spacebar, speaking to the machine, or right click on Edge or Chrome, and then you can do it that way. And like I say, that's just a really quick way to do it. And it's a really good way to think carefully about how you feedback and what we're trying to achieve here. Because ultimately, this is not about competency. This is about helping a teacher to do something a little bit better, really. So here we're looking at engagement. I'm saying that it's effective, but I'm also saying try this. If it's developed, fine, no problem. We've got 9 subjects to teach. There's going to be variation in competency. If you've moved from year 5 to year 1, or you've got a pupil with high needs, that context can be taken into consideration. So this is not about judging teaching. This is about evaluating impact and opportunities to provide support. Sometimes there'll be areas to prioritize, but most teaching, most of the time, is going to be effective. So here I'm acknowledging that. I'm giving some recognition, which is great. So we look at the engagement. We then look at the pedagogy, which is the strategies and techniques for learning. And then we can evaluate that. So that could be questioning, monitoring, resourcing, planning, modeling, all of those different things, pitch, pace, progression, so on. But we want to see how that impacts in the classroom. And like I say, it's a 10-minute visit, so a nice light touch visit, which means that it's going to be accurate as well. And that's really important. So we look at the pedagogy, we put our feedback and thoughts in here, and then we look at the learning, the acquisition and application of skills and knowledge. And that's really interesting because we can almost distill this down to those 2 key points. And you will see that this is really concise, which makes it very efficient. The more content we put in here, the longer we have to spend in the classroom to validate it. The longer we spend in the classroom, the more inaccurate it becomes, the stakes become higher, and then the feedback becomes skewed. So really important that it's short, concise, typical business as usual. So after we've looked at the learning, we're then going to think about the value, the effectiveness, the impact, the success. But rather than use progress, attainment, achievement, expected, or whatever, we're going to use value just because it frames it nicely. We can reference progress in here, but we don't get a pass or fail process. Is progress good or bad or whatever? So here we can just acknowledge that, and it's a good way to be able to kind of be a little bit more subjective, a bit more subtle about our feedback. So we've looked at those 4 areas. We're now going to take a picture, toggle the camera, capture, and on this occasion, this is an English lesson. So I'm going to tag by subject, year group, writing, expected. And I could add more. So I could add lots of attributes, handwriting, whatever it may be, genres, fiction, non-fiction. I can also put into here SEND or ALN if you're in Wales. I could also put into there pupil premium disadvantaged or whatever terminology that it reflects really. And what I'm doing is I'm taking a picture to spotlight and share some really good practice here. And down here, a little bit of commentary to say what we like about this. And send that to the gallery, and then everybody can use that. And we can also add video. So we talk about broad and balanced, and then we focus on English and maths. So with this, we could take a 20-second clip, tag it the same way, but obviously that's great for PE, music, languages, performance, poetry, dance, drama, those kind of areas in the curriculum, not to mention reading. So reading, we could take a 20-second clip, phonics, we could be talking about the expected standard or what secure looks like. We could be sharing attributes that are demonstrated in that video clip as well. So great ways to be able to kind of evaluate and share and set the expectations with regards to reading. And I think that's really critical development that we added here. Okay, so we're going to upload those and we're going to put the entry into the system. Just quickly, we're getting data here for cohorts, key stage, subject, send, whatever it may be using the rubric. We're getting feedback for our teachers, which we're going to share the next day to help with their development. We're taking pictures of best practice to set the expectations and to feel secure and to quality show about standards in the classroom, and the same with video. Entry complete. And then I've got 1 book study outstanding. I'll come back to that one if we've got time in a moment. So heading back to the analysis and the dashboard here, I can see all of the insights coming into one place. I'll just refresh this page for us, and then we could take a little look. And what we can do in here is we could see the school average using the rubric, and all of the data is for school improvement purposes. So it's really important that it's for your use. It's the evidence is the byproduct. The most important thing, it's up to you how you want to use it. 1 is low, 4 is high, but that's the average in my school. And then when I take a little look at any of these activities, then what I can see is I can see that the average score for that activity is 2.42. So I can see that's lower. So obviously I can look closer at that. And the whole idea is, as you got a flow of information, we're clicking in and we're working intuitively where needs must across school. We can see what the outcomes look like over time and that how those are broken up. And down here as well, we can see the different frameworks. So the learning snapshots, the book studies, and the other learning walks that we may be doing. This is my current year. If I click, it will show me all time. And what I can do now is I can use the AI to summarize. So if I ask Nemo to show me what we do well or less well, he will now present a statement sharing with us really the insights from the last 20 activities that we've done. So taking a little look at that, that means we can use that for a report. We can anonymize it. We can change the instructions. So if we want to create a summary of recent SEND learning walks, then we can do that. We could have a supportive 1 paragraph summary. We could have anonymize that if it's for governors, but we can tailor it and we can take those insights. And obviously that's a great way to be able to leverage the learning walks and to feel secure and knowledgeable, feel confident about standards in the classroom, and to use that insight as you choose. So once we've done that, we can then start to use filters. So if we want to filter on the dashboard by English, we can now see the learning walks that we've done by English as well. We can see what the outcomes look like by English over time, the learning walks that we've done, learning snapshots and book studies, and so on. And we could now break that up if we wanted to do by cohort as well. So as we move across to the headlines, we can see our teaching profile. As a head teacher, I was often asked, tell me about standards in the classroom. I ended up talking about test scores. That's a very different thing. This is more formative, and for me as a head, it's really important that I've got that overview of standards. So I can see my teaching profile here, and the filter is still applied. So this is for English, and I can see where our strengths and areas for development are, where, you know, who and where we can apply support. Now, it may just be that we've got some teachers who've moved year group, or they've got high needs, or it's relative to the career stage or whatever. So, you know, context is key. And like I say, that data is there for you to be able to use to be able to inform strategically the work that you do to develop skill sets in the classroom. So some good things to be able to gain there. And if we want to, like I say, we can filter by tag, because you can create your own tags. So if I now want to filter by year 6, I can see what that cohort looks like. I could do the same for SEND. I could do the same for early years, key stages, and so on. So just popping back really a little bit, and let's take a quick look, I think, before we take a look at the gallery, just at the book study. So here I'd organized and set up and prepared a book study. So again, the same principle, it's nice and concise. We use lines of inquiry and prompts. And again, like the learning snapshot, we're focusing on teaching and learning. We're not focusing, it's not subject specific. So we can use it, apply filters, and learn more from the dashboard just by using one framework, which enables us to put a common language into place. So presentation here, we can see the work, how it care and consideration. We're also looking at the pitch, pace, progression. We're thinking about pupil contributions, how they respond, time on task, sustained writing, or whatever it may be, progress from individual starting points, from first page to last towards the objective. It's all relative progress, challenge and extension, and then marking and feedback down here as well. So that's the application, as is the challenge of your policy. So the impact of what we do again. So we can then start to think about taking pictures, and with a book study, we could be taking each genre, we could be taking photos of the expected standard, greater depth, tagging those, sending those to the gallery. And that's a great use of leadership management time, as is the learning snapshot too. So if we pop over to the gallery, let's take a little look and think about how this works and what purpose it's serving. This demonstrates standards and curriculum impact in our school. It enables me as a head teacher to see what all of the outcomes look like over time for all different learners. So we could see the entire curriculum, and then we can break that up because it's all being classified up here using tags. So if I want to look at English, and then I want to look at year 6, and this is a fairly common one, I would guess, expected standard or secure, whatever it may be, I can bring up a sample then that helps us to be able to see what the expectation should look like. All of my teachers can use this. It's communal, so that enables them all to come into here and to see the work that's been submitted and shared by the leaders. We can also come into here if I've never taught art in year 3 before and I'm teaching repeating patterns for the first time. I can pop into here and see what the outcomes should look like, share those with the children. If I'm a Senko, I can come into here, and we've got a great Send Learning Walk, by the way, or an ALN leader, and I could come into here and see what the outcomes look like with those pupils with additional needs. And we could also use disadvantaged, pupil premium, to filter by group and pupils too. So that's a great way to be able to see what those outcomes look like for those children. And that's a fantastic way to be able to sample and record that before we declutter and send that work home. So maths, I think, is really fascinating because it's so kinesthetic. There's so much more than the working books when it comes down to maths. So the Senko can use it, but this has been submitted by the DT lead, but they've tagged it send. This has been submitted by the PE lead, but they've tagged it send, and so on. So you're cross-referencing using tags, and then each leader can gain from each other and access more insights. If we want to take a little look at the video, we can start to think about how that could be used in PE. Which again, we have a lot of in schools. It's often a real strength in school, and yet it's part of the provision which is the hardest to evaluate and to be able to capture. So that's a great way with those clips to do that, tag and share. Useful for teachers so that they know what expectations look like, build up a bank of resources so we can demonstrate and show the children before they head into the hall. We can also, if we want to do, look at reading. I mentioned about how useful it is for that. See here, year 1, fluency, decoding, blending, the CVC. There's lots of phonics. There's lots of different tags that I could add to that, text level, adult support, and so on. But that's a great way to show what the outcomes should look like for a year 1 pupil. So again, build up a database and set the expectation in school. So we can show leaders what it should look like and teachers across cohorts and between cohorts. What's the difference between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6? Not just in reading, but obviously in any subject. And that's how we can use the gallery. The other thing that we can do if we want to do is just submit to the gallery. So we could just take a picture and put it into the system. That means we can build up this portfolio. So teachers can, if they've done something great, they could take a shot, tag it, send it in, and then the leaders can then use that to quality assure. So they don't have to go and find it. And it's a lovely way for teachers to be able to share the good practice and the outcomes in their classroom. The same with the video. Moving across to the builder, you can also create your own content. So if you want to create your own learning walks, book studies, and so on, you can do that. All of the ones that we've got on the system here, you can edit. We've got a high school platform and a primary one. This one has send, early years. We've also got parent and pupil voice, so we can send surveys out to families too, get all the data back on the dashboard, which is a great way to incorporate stakeholder views in your strategic planning on that dashboard. And we can write and create our own. And if you want to create your own, it's as simple as just clicking up here and then creating that learning walk. And we know that you know your school better than we do. So 5 minutes, nice and simple to do that. If we want to do, we can also share them. So for example, we've got a great one for governors. If you like this one, we can share it with you. You can import it, and that helps your governors, and you can download that from Facebook. Okay. So as we finish over here, like I say, you can edit and change the rubric. You can create your own curriculum, tech support, user guide, FAQ, and lots of tutorials. There's also our 360, which enables you to use all the content and everything else to be able to align your appraisals with the work that you do with Nautilus. Heading over to the website just to finish off, we've got a great community. Take a little look, nautilus.education. And here you can see our community. Click on there. You can download content and join our group. Newsletter there. Have a little look. Videos in there, new developments and so on. We're a small company, so we're constantly developing and listening to schools. And over here as well, webinars every Friday. Come with a recording, and we show leaders how to use the system. We've also got a sports premium plan and package too, and the prices are on here. So the Explorer is what we've looked at today. Click and subscribe. We set accounts up the same day. The Pioneer, that adds the appraisal tools if you want to use those as well. But you can take a look at those once you're on the system anyway. Just as we finish off, if you do want a tour, book in for a demo. I'll show you and your team around, give you a chance to ask questions. I'll even take a little look at your school beforehand so we can make sure that it's a good fit for you. But no obligations, friendly tour. That's all it will ever be. Okay, so I'll finish there. 20 minutes, 21 minutes. So whistle-stop tour of the Nautilus School Leadership Platform. Capture and evaluate all of the great work that you do. Hopefully, I'll see you again soon. Bye now.